Welcome to 7 Skills for the Future podcast. My name is Emma Sue Prince and I'm joined by my producer James.
Hi Emma Sue and hello everyone.
This podcast is all about the 7 skills of adaptability, empathy, critical thinking, integrity, being proactive, being optimistic and being resilient. And it's based on the book 7 Skills for the Future, which you can buy online or in bookstores. And in this podcast, we explore how you can bring these skills into your everyday, helping you to live a happier life and do meaningful work and live with passion and purpose.
So welcome back to series 4 of the 7 Skills for the Future podcast, everyone. It's great to be back. Hello, Emma Sue.
Hi, good to be back as well.
It is, isn't it? And this series is going to be a little different from the previous ones, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I decided with this series to interview lots of really interesting people who I feel really embody these 7 skills.
Nice. Okay, so the first episode we've got coming next week is an interview with Martin Bromley. Can you tell us something about him?
Yeah, so Martin, an incredible guy. He's a pilot captain for one of the UK's major airlines, although I didn't find out which one, but one of the big airlines, I guess. But he also runs this charity because he really tragically lost his wife during a routine medical operation about 12 years ago now. And he realized that this particular event was not caused so much by people not being competent at their job, but actually by what's called human factors. So it was all to do with communication issues and leadership issues and how decisions got made. And this is actually quite similar to the airline industry, is what he told me. So I talked to him about the charity and about how he's coped with this horrendous event. You know, he was left with very small children, what he's learned from it all and you know, how he lives this life now. So really incredible guy.
Yes, it's an amazing interview and he is, as you said, incredible. Okay, the second interview is quite different, and that's with a good friend of yours, right?
Yeah, that's right. She's a good friend of mine, but she's now really quite well known. Karen Gibson. She's the gospel choir director of Kingdom Choir, who are currently touring in the US and who really shot to fame just about overnight when they performed at the royal wedding, so Meghan and Harry's royal wedding last year. And I guess what's interesting about this interview as well is, I mean, I know Karen really, really well, but it's also about how you know, when somebody becomes really well known, it can seem like it's just happened suddenly, but actually it's years and years and years of work and you know, how she's lived her vision throughout her career. And, you know, also talking to her about the changes that come from becoming a celebrity overnight and you know, what does that mean in terms of keeping in touch with your integrity and your values and keeping resilient, you know, because it sounds brilliant and it is brilliant, but it's quite tough as well.
Absolutely. And then the 4th episode is an interview with Dr. Vikas Pandey. Can you tell us something about him as well?
Yeah, so he's another completely amazing person. I mean, it's been such a great privilege for me to meet these people. So Vikas is an emergency healthcare surgeon, and he is very different from most surgeons because he practices mindfulness in his work every single day. And he also encourages and trains other healthcare professionals to use mindfulness. And of course, in this sector, there's a lot of burnout, a lot of stress, a lot of fatigue, and people seek him out. They seek Vikas out to help them learn about how to be mindful. And he's such a lovely, gentle person. I mean, probably, you just feel completely calm when you're around him. He's lovely. And one of the things that I thought was interesting about this was we talked about, smartphones and I've got a thing about smartphones and our sort of overuse of them. And we talked about that. And actually what he said was, actually being distracted is just a human condition, and if we didn't have the phone, it would be something that maybe you couldn't see. We can just see it now because we can see people with their smartphones. So that was a bit of an insight for me.
Yeah, very interesting. And there are plenty of other interviews as well coming up. Can you give us some of the highlights?
Yeah, so lots of really interesting people. So I'm going to be traveling to Berlin a bit later in the year, and I'm going to be interviewing Catherine Leccieni, and she's a communications coach and works specifically with culture and cultural communication, and has a great interest in empathy. So I'm going to be talking to her about that and about her work. I'm also talking to a woman called Rahaf Hafush, who has written an incredible book called Hustle and Float, Reclaiming Your Creativity and Thriving in a World Obsessed with Work. So we're going to be talking about how to tap into being calm and creative in a world of noise. And she's also a very impressive person. She's doing a lot of work in the US, and she runs the Red Thread Institute of Digital Culture. So I'm looking forward to talking to her about that. Yeah, so another interview I'm doing is with Philip Green, who shot to fame with Britain's Got Talent. He's a comedy actor and an impressionist, and has quite a strong following on YouTube. And I'm going to be talking to him about his experiences of being a reality TV show star and what sort of impact that's had on his life. Personally, I can think of nothing more terrifying than being on a reality TV show. So I think this is really interesting. But also talking to him specifically about resilience and rejection, and how do you bounce back, and actually the harsh reality that you have. You've only got a very small window much of the time to kind of make your mark and to do something. So I think he'll be an interesting person to talk to. And Gloria Abramoff, who is a wonderful, wonderful woman working in media and broadcasting, and she's doing some really interesting work with young people. She's the executive editor for Kidspiration TV, and she's working on a new project with primary school teachers to look at soft skills resources. So it's very much a topic close to my heart. So I'm hoping to collaborate with her as well. And so I'm looking forward to talking to her. So yeah, a really nice, interesting mix of people.
Absolutely, yeah. I can't wait to listen. So as our listeners will know, there's nothing we like more than a positive review on one of the many podcast apps. So Emma Sue, you have a very generous idea for anyone who wants to do a review.
Yes, that's right. So we would love to have you write a review about this podcast. And so as a very special offer, I'm asking that if you write a review, that you send in a screenshot to me by email, and I will then arrange for you to get a free signed copy of the book, 7 Skills for the Future, and I'll send it to anywhere in the world in exchange for your review.
Wow, I'm going to go and do one, I think. Of course, I already have my copy, so I don't need it. I'm fine. But no, that's a fantastic offer for any of our listeners. So definitely something for everyone to do. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this brief introduction to Series 4, Emma Sue, I think.
Yes, it does. So really looking forward to getting stuck into Series 4 and looking forward to welcoming you to next week's first interview with Martin Bromley. See you then.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the 7 Skills for the Future podcast. You can find all of our episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere where podcasts can be found. If you want to make sure that every new episode ends up on your phone, all you need to do is hit the subscribe button. And while you're there, why not give us a 5-star review so more people can find out about the show? If you'd like to stay in touch or send in one of your questions for Emma Sue, then go to Unimenta on Twitter, 7 Skills for the Future on Instagram, or at unimenta.com. We'd love to hear from you. And of course, there's the book, 7 Skills for the Future, available at booksellers everywhere.